Hey everybody, it's David here. Behind me, behind my little figure, is the map of the city. You can see, if you look carefully, that some of the map comes out of the top of the building, which we'll get back to. Now, my original, well, semi-original plan for this city was to basically just create the spaces that I wanted to see, the spaces in my universe, in Minecraft. I just wanted to make this here the cathedral. I wanted to make the original rebel building, which is here, and the park, all the big places that I loved in the story. I wanted to see them in 3D. So I started making them, and then I made this is probably a decade of work, although I had chunks of time, 2 or 3 years at a time, that I couldn't work because my computer was too old. But one of my other long-term goals since I started this is to animate my audiobook, whether like with Movie Magic, or I still haven't figured out how to do that, or just walking my character through the scenes in the book, in the first book at least, possibly with the skin on the character, so this character looks like the point of view character in each scene, or whatever. I want to basically animate it as much as I can by creating these scenes, the backdrops for these scenes in this city, or at least in this game level. It doesn't necessarily have to be the city, because it's essentially an infinite space that you can make stuff. And we come back to this because you saw a bit of it before. This is my plan for all of the locations and areas that need to be finished for me to be able to do that filming. Some things, the white glowy signs, these are actually glowing, are describe builds that need to be done. There are side builds, like, see, this build is Star Mall, but I need to be able to film Asha's path from the mall to meeting Hawk. So that's a lot of backdrop stuff that doesn't have to be very particular, but there needs to be enough sort of zigzaggy alleyways to cover that path in the story. So, and the ones below them are things that need to be finished. So the green ones are things that I've already built, but not always, or not necessarily finished. And these are the notes on what needs to be done. But this, with one exception, I think, all of these pertain only to the first book, Rise of Hawk. The backgrounds and the tasks, the builds that need doing. As I said, the green ones are builds I've done that need finishing in some way or another. These ones here that are red are ones I haven't done yet that need doing. Some of them are really big, like, as I showed you at the top of this list, is the coastline. These ones are quite big. Or Karen's house in Anara Street on this map is like here in the corner on the edge of the city. So that would infer I'd need to fill all of that space up, if I was going to do it true to life. So this is to give you an idea of the scale of this series that I'm introducing. Now, next we come to what I'm going to be doing in this episode, because replacement building for the horse farm. This is the horse farm. This building, see, horses, and donkeys, and mules. I can't remember which one's which, but they're both in there. And chickies. I originally made this building as my sort of base of operations because this was the section of the city that I started building first, which is why this building is butt ugly. So this building is a mess. It is a hot mess. It is a terrible, horrendous mess, and it's too small. Because see, there's the university through the roof, through my flying in hole. That's the only way you can get in there, is through the hole, or if you've got a actually, you may not even... Oh no, there's still steel doors, so if you had a lever you could get in. But the map has expanded out the roof of the building. I've been meaning to update this building forever, but it's really big. Like, huge. It's too intimidating. And then I just left it, because there were more important builds, which is another reason why it needs to be fixed. Now, ooh, almost banged into that. The focus for this building is to house the map and any sort of what I call square bracket things. What I mean by that is things that are outside of the story. The description for square bracket is actually on my website somewhere. But this, for example, is a square bracket thing. It's not really a secret. It's just to get to the university. It's 5 kilometers, 5,000 blocks thereabouts to get to the university from here. So I get a boat, and then I go extremely fast, and that's how I get there. I'm not gonna get there, sorry, but because flying, you have to actually think about it, and so that's like a behind the scenes, and anything behind the scenes goes in here, which includes this map. And there'll be other things in here. I've just tidied stuff away. So I need a big building to house all of the secrets, or not secret, but the out of story stuff, which is why it's got no windows. It's only got what I've tried to make into boarded windows. So the premise is it's an abandoned building of some variety. I wanted it to be brick, so it looked sort of old, you know, like one of those old brick factories, or those, what they call brick skyscrapers, which are not really skyscrapers, they're like 10 stories high, but that's about as high as those sorts of buildings can really get safely without steel reinforcement. So I wanted it to look old. I wanted it to look sort of early industrial age sort of building. Like, there's another one over here. A smaller one. That I'm quite proud of, because it looks quite a lot like the model that I actually based it on. This one. Oops. So I want it in this sort of style, but like 4 or 5 times bigger. And obviously there. And tall enough for the map. I have a possible other solution for the map. I'll just get in here again. It's tall but not wide. And I have to do the math, but I thought maybe if I actually I don't know, had a really good brain day and actually spun it around the whole map and put it on that wall. Because these directions on the map, that's south and that's north. So if I put north up and west and east sideways, it'll not only be a less counterintuitive map, it doesn't have to be as tall, because while this, it's probably going to go a lot this way one day, it can only go about sort of hereish in the south, because that's where the water starts, thereabouts, the coast, theoretically. So I can play around with the design, I can play around with possible sorts of buildings. I want it to be a not box, because as I said, I did this very, very early on. It's like the third thing I actually made. So this is before I learned a lot of tricks, before there was a lot of different kinds of bricks, blocks. This was even before wall blocks. So, and coloured glass, even panes, I think. So it's but ugly and boring, and I want to make it better. So I thought this session, this part of the series, the new series that I'm going to be doing to try and complete that list, I'll start with this. And we'll see what happens. So you are going to go the fast way, because I'm going to say the magic words and then we'll go into a montage and show me probably fiddling for a while to figure out what sort of shapes that I want. I'm going to be doing some research the next couple of days to see what kind of look. I doubt I'll find a building that precisely defines what I want, but I'll find bits that I like and then try and mash them together and make a building. But you'll get to see it in the montage. That'll be in a few seconds for you, but it'll be several days for me. It may even be a week before I get the video out, at least. So we shall see what happens. As I said, I don't know yet what I'm doing. I only have a general old style brick industrial age type thing, and I have to also remember, almost hit the roof, that is a mall. Do we put factories in front of malls? Not in New Zealand. Although I guess it is technically an abandoned factory. I don't know. And that is technically, I took that build from a factory, but this is meant to be the central business district, not the industrial district. So there's all these things I have to think about. I'll try not to have too many rules. So I've got general, very blurry guidelines, several ideas, and you shall see it the fast way in montage mode. So, wish me luck, and cue the music. Welcome back. You might notice, well, there was a little problem with the replay mod, in that I stopped after I did the ceiling, and then when I had a break and I came back and I did the walls, and then I went to render the second replay, and it failed. It crashed the whole thing. And sometimes when it crashes, it goes, "Hey, look, I noticed you were, doing a replay. When this crashed, do you want me to fix it?" And it usually does, but it didn't. It was like, pop. I'm sorry, there was no replay. So kind of annoyed, but that's okay. In that process, I took the walls off, and then I added some framing around the animals, because once I took the walls off, they would have gotten free. And I couldn't. If you take a wall off from behind a sign, the sign drops. So I kind of wish I'd done this on fence posts instead of the wall, but that's okay. It's cool. I'll figure out another solution. So the plan is, what I want to do is transfer this whole map sideways onto this wall. And this is essentially how big it is. Hopefully I measured it right. It doesn't look right, but when things are sideways, they always look smaller or bigger. It's 30 wide, 30 tall, and 13 wide. So I thought for now I could actually do my design framing on camera instead of doing replay, because it always looks sort of up and downy, up and downy, uppy, going over the same thing all at once, like over and over, and that's boring. So I thought I'd do a semi-professional Minecrafty thing and do a wireframe first. I do usually do wireframes, but we might be able to do it in different colours, because there are bits I know and bits I don't know. I don't know, that one and that one. We'll see what happens. I know that I want a big building here, so sort of, I don't know, maybe here, and we go up and up and up and up and up, I don't know, 10 stories, so that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we keep doing that till we go up and up and up and up. I won't do the counting on camera because it's boring. But so we go up, and then I want to go along. Actually, that's probably about the right height. I'll probably vary it. So I want a tall bit, sort of at this edge of the block. And then I want maybe a slightly lower one, like 2 different buildings that overlap. I don't know. Halfway? Yeah, halfway looks good. And then we'll just... So from the front, I want sort of the basics, but I don't want it all in a flat line, which is why I wanted this bit on this side of the building, the white bit, to be as close to the edge of the property as possible. So it's that corner, that length, and then have another building go in, connected, and then have like a, I don't know, another one here-ish, maybe this wide. I don't know how tall. It'll be different tallnesses, but only to like here or something, so that this bit comes in actually I should probably so there's like an entrance area from the street. Oops. So if we find, I'm just going to guess this probably is in the middle, but so you come through a gate and the entrance is sort of there. That's obviously not the middle. Oh well, that's okay. It was just a guess. So what I want is sort of different shaped, different length, different everything, heights, width boxes that interact with each other. So it looks like a bunch sort of different blocks together, shoved together, that are different sizes, to make it a little bit more interesting, to make it look like a complex rather than one building. This might be a little bit closer. Yep. This is a little bit less ordered than I thought it would be. Just because it's going to annoy me, I'll just find the middle. Oops. This is something I learnt in tech drawing. Diagonals. You can find the middle of most things. Oh. I should have started at the second red line, but that's okay. It's still going to be the centre, as long as I cross through there properly. Ah, it's a 2-block centre. That is both annoying and good. So you have the entrance there with a courtyard. And a relatively, like a 2-story building here. I don't know how far back it can go. I like this idea of sort of hidden areas that are only hidden because you don't know that they're there, if you know what I mean. Like Rose Road the story is that it was a very old building that, was made derelict, was abandoned because it had a really bad fire and lots of stuff burnt out, and it wasn't usable. But except for one apartment was safe. The rest of it was burnt out to a crisp. So there's sort of a diamond in the rough, I like that image in my head of this big old complex with zigzaggy, uppy, downy bits of building, and in the middle of it is this nice little courtyard with horses and secret-y things. Well, not secret things, but things unknown to most people. My aiming is bad today, sorry. Illustrative, yes. So if this is a short one, we have to have another part of another building at the back, which was probably shorter or taller. Don't actually. Oh, okay. And then I'd add different features to each of the buildings. All would have a brick base, but like I found this building which would be really nice for the white one, and it's sort of got like sort of really thick pillars, and then it goes in thick pillars again. So it's sort of shaped interestingly. And the in bits have it's almost Rose Road sort of detail. And then I found another one that can it's ugly with grass, but I was trying to just show the basic shape that I found. And then I found sort of another one which I think this orange one could do, where it's sort of the first few layers, like what? Okay, that's floor level. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I do floors in fives, so there's 4 in the middle, but every 5 it means I can calculate how many levels something is. Ha! Score! But like the first 2 levels, or the first level, but maybe first 2 levels, are made out of like quartz, and then there's brick on top, and then there's a big sticky outy bit at the top. So this level is a little bit wider, and then it'll have like stairs. I don't know, that one maybe. So it could look a little bit like an apartment. So I quite like quartz and brick, it's a nice contrast. So imagine some windows, maybe. And then it goes down to here, and this bit is white, or maybe end brick or something, a different contrast colour. So it will probably look like an apartment block. No, I don't know details, but that sort of look, that sort of, I like the color contrast anyway. Maybe some of the these bits have like a little bit of balcony or something similar. So you've got a big tall bit, a bit that looks like it could be, it's sort of like workers' accommodation, and then there's an entrance, and then this could be a little plainer to be like an office block. And then similar shape in my head to Gore Prison. I was just thinking, no, we don't want Gore Prison right next to Star Mall. That would suck. No one would want a prison next to a mall anyway. I mean, Gore Prison is actually abandoned, or mostly abandoned. You can't. It's so old and broken and fire damaged that it wouldn't be used as a normal prison. It's an agency prison. If you're a prisoner of the agency, part of the laws basically state that if the agency takes you prisoner or conscripts you, you don't have rights. The agency defines. You don't have any inherent rights other than workers' rights if you're working. If you're prisoner, you actually have less rights than food animals. Which is obviously some of the problem. So they can actually use an abandoned prison as a prison because the prisoners aren't people, legally speaking. Right, so this is the essential plan. Now I'm going to have to start. What I'll do is I'll fully outline where I want things to go in general, like actually measure stuff and make sure it's balanced and make sure it's positives and negative numbers and get the right heights for the floors and the enough counting to get the right amount of windows in and all that kind of stuff. Figure out what size windows I want for each section. Like this one, the red one, can probably have 1 block wide windows because it's a small building and it's supposed to look kind of austere. And this one can have just the two wide windows, just because it's an office block essentially. These are 2, but 3 or 4 tall, so that could actually have floor to ceiling windows. So I'll just figure out the palette and I'll just do like a strip of the palette to show off camera. And so that I'll come back and then I'll show you basically the design process, and then we'll have our final montage while I put it all together and stuff. So I'll see you in a second. And welcome back. I've done the very basics. I'll just give you a quick run through of what I've done. I just did the frame. Actually, I'll just balance. Did the frame of each of the main buildings and then did a test pattern for each section. So this one's going to be L-shaped, the tall one. It's 10 stories. And that's the basic palette. The ground floor's the floor is in the middle. So it'll go across. I'll be adding extra details, maybe like a couple of like balconies down 1 or 2 rows or whatever, but this side is going to have the map on it, so I may make this really quite plain, just like one square, one block sort of windows or something similar. Haven't quite decided, but the windows are going to have to be blocked off so I can have the map on that wall. Obviously I have to do this one first so I can then move the map and finish the rest of this one. I haven't decided on all of it, like I think having this sort of shift in colour might be kind of fun, and extra doors and sticky outy bits, but that's the basic colour scheme. I really like the white and the red, it's quite nice. And to contrast it, I made to test around the corner to contrast, and I have the dark, the grey concrete, and bring in the constant of the brick with the window frames. There's also different bottoms, different floor levels. They're only about like 1 block or 2 block. So this whole block here, the red one is going to be dark, is going to be grey concrete mostly, and I'll have a cobbled courtyard here, so that'll be the actual entrance to the facility. And this one is I think gonna be quite fun to do, fiddly but fun, sort of zigzag the whole way around. I want to put like some kind of, I don't know, like, or a slab maybe. I don't know. Something extra above the windows or something. There needs to be more details on all of these, but I'll have to figure out that because I'll do the simplest bits and I'll work out some of the other details I don't know yet, and then I'll add detail after that. So that will come around. That's the yellow building. There's an orange here, which I will probably bring this same pattern around. I just needed to extend it. And then I thought I could have a driveway here between the main white building and the orange yellow building. So you have a driveway, and then so you can't see anything from the street, there's a turn. And this here, this can all be the open area in the middle. I thought I could make it kind of fun so that the driveway sort of peters out into sort of like gravel and, you know, texture it so it just melds out from road to nothing, and there can be a gate across here, just to keep any nosy neighbours out. Not that there are currently neighbours. The white one is going to be quite complex because I've got the big long tall one with those, and I brought some of those elements to this section, which is only going to be half as high. So they'll be linked because they share a wall. I'm probably not going to do a lot of interior, but I want this back wall to have the plottings for a Rise of Hawk on this wall. Now obviously I have to do things in order, so I have to do the big white one first, or at least the front and the side, so I can put the map up. I want to put the map up in the absolute center of this wall so that it can expand as much as possible. I mean, I doubt I'm going to get to see that big, but you never know. Things change quickly. So I want to give it as much space as possible, which is why it's a 10-story building. Any bigger, it already looks too big from a distance, but that's okay. Anyway, I'm going to try and complete this. If I can complete this in 2 days, or 2 days doing Minecraft, won't be 2 days in a row, I want to post this as just one episode. So hopefully the next montage will be a little bit longer and we'll have finished. Then we get to do the outro and I get to skite about all the things I figured out and how to play with. Hopefully. So, second time, wish me luck and cue the music. So, oops, I guess. I was editing all of the design stuff, all the bits that I recorded, talking about the shape and the size and what I want and what I don't know and what I do know, and it's actually all enough to be one whole video. I talk way too much. Whoops. So I've decided to split it up. So this is episode 1, and episode 2 I'll show you the actual building, or as much as I can. Still having technical details with the replay mod. So I'm sorry, you expected to have a montage and you didn't have one, but this episode is already going to be pretty long. And I had a guess, if I put it all into one episode, it'd be like an hour. And I don't know about you, but I kind of prefer my YouTube videos to be kind of 30 minutes, 40 minutes max, unless I'm doing like a full-on, philosophical essay thingy. So, sorry, we'll see the montage and the builds and all stuff done in the next episode. So, for now, ara ni tasa.